Greetings, travelers.
Greetings, travelers. It is Jump Scare June with Erika and Mark.
This has been a crazy month already.
It has. And what's really exciting is on the 20th, which is only a couple days away, spring solstice. So, your time to recenter your intentions and stuff like that. And drink lots of wine and mead. I'm all about that part of the
Yeah,
party.
yeah. Spring solstice is one of those wonderful, affirmation stuff. So you can get to do everything, right? It's about reaffirming the world and reaffirming your intentions for the year. And man, I'm
Yes.
excited. I guess it's the summer solstice. Sorry,
Yes. Well, oh,
sorry.
it is the summer solstice. Did I say spring solstice? It's
Yes, you did,
fine.
and it threw me off. I was like, wait a minute.
It's fine. You know me, I like to make up stuff, add it to the calendar. Also super exciting. You're going to be at Small Town Monster Fest on, I think,
Yes.
the 29th, right?
Yeah, the 28th, 29th, I believe. The 29th is the big day with all the vendors and us and everything. The 28th, they're doing their premiering some of the new videos for the year. And Small Town Monsters is a great little festival. It's in Canton, Ohio. So if you're up in the northeast area, please come on by. Come see a
Yes.
lot of people. Shannon from Into the Fray will be there. We'll be there. They've got quite a number of guests. So should be fun. We'll have the information on eerietravels.com on our events page.
As per always. And we're super excited because we are going to have Seth from Small Town Monsters. That episode's going to air on the 21st.
Yep, right
So,
after this. So
yeah, that's super exciting. Lots of fun
I'm
stuff.
sure he'll have lots to say about the event. So
I'm sure there will be many words, but this is a listener request episode. That's what I think we should call it because we did sort of our part one of this very early on in our podcasting
yeah,
years. Then it got requested by many listeners, and we've been getting these stories, which is the Mandela Effect,
yeah, we've
which
gotten a second. We're good. We're decided to do a little more on this because it's come up again and again and again. And this one, I mean, to back to 101 on this. Do we go back in the Wayback Machine for this?
we should because I got appropriate snacks and Beau is with us, who has an amazing new hairstyle. So let's go in the Wayback Machine. Let's do it.
Okay, so we go back. Fiona Broom. She was a paranormal consultant. She was also an author, and she believed that anti-apartheid, revolutionary philanthropist President Nelson Mandela had died while being imprisoned in the 1980s because he'd been in prison for decades. And then she remembered the outpouring of love and affection and all these people, talking about this at the time. But he was released in 1990 and he became the president of South Africa. And he didn't die till 2000, December 5th, 2013, at the age of 95 after a series of many illnesses. But many people swore he died in the 1980s. And Broom realized she had these false memories of the news coverage and the headlines. So she was at a conference in 2009 and she kind of mentioned this on a panel, and the conference was Dragon Con,
Yes.
right? And she talked about it. And then other people remembered his death in the 1980s. It wasn't just her. So she created a website, that basically just elaborated on this Mandela effect. Was it false memories and things like that? Typically pop culture references that are remembered wrong, or is it something else? Is it that we are experiencing memories from an alternate timeline or an alternate reality or an alternate dimension, a parallel universe, and we're getting
So,
mixed in?
and what's interesting about this, because going down, we talked about this before, but I think there's something we need to make a differentiation, right?
Hmm.
Which is the Mandela effect, or what there's now a scientific team out of the University of Chicago calling it the VME, the visual Mandela effects,
Hmm.
right? Because they did a study about this. And what was interesting is they used very popular ones and sat groups of people down and said, choose the logo that is correct, for instance, or choose the image that is correct, and found that there was not like a couple people that got this wrong. It was, a very split group of their, test subjects, that there is such a thing as the Mandela effect. Now, some of our listeners have written in with what I like to call, instead of the Mandela effect, a glitch in the matrix.
Right.
Because generally that happens to them or another person with them, but that's not a holistic situation that happens. Like, listeners have written in recently about taking like an alternate road to the beach, and they had some weird restaurant situation where it didn't seem like the universe was loading properly. That, and the reason I say the glitch in the matrix is from the movie The Matrix, where we're all supposed to be plugged into a reality, and it's set up because we're attached to a giant machine. I'm not saying we're attached to a giant machine, but the glitch is in what we're being
Some
presented
scientists
with.
think we are.
Well, that's a whole other show, Mark. We're not doing that today. But it's interesting because when you're talking about this, when we talk about the Mandela effect, you have one that you and Carrie, your beautiful wife, for instance, and many others, and we brought it up in the first one, but it's one of the ones that is heavily controversial
Yeah.
because outside of the Mandela thing, which is true, a lot of people went, wait, no, he did die. And no, he hadn't died at the time that this was discussed, right?
And that could, we think that one was, there was another famous anti-apartheid activist, and that was Steve Biko, who died in the 80s. And we think maybe because he was being mentioned with Mandela in like every single ad, everything that ran on the news from that time, that's why it just is combined, because he was still imprisoned at the time. And that's why people were talking about him so much. So people assumed it was him they were talking about. So
It's
that's where we get the, okay, this could be a false memory. This could be a false memory, but I will die on my hill.
Yes,
So
I know you will. And one of the things I also want to say about false memory, because some news organizations, and now with the way news is fed to us, that's a whole other like Pandora's box we can open. But news outlets used to create newsreels for when people they thought were going to kick the bucket,
yeah,
for lack of a better way of saying it. And so what would happen is they would have a newsreel saying Nelson Mandela had died because they had it ready. There was sort of like this joke, which is a dark joke, but like the pool, who's going next? And they would have this. And I know
it was called
sometimes,
the death pool. Yeah.
yes, the death pool, and that was made famous again by Deadpool, the movie, where they talk about the death pool. But what happened was sometimes these news stories went out and they weren't really real. Like,
Somebody sent a telegram saying this person died, and then they got, I remember, the big famous one was Abe Vigoda. He was a comedian. He was in Barney Miller, played Fish on Barney Miller, probably his most famous role. And he was reported dead several times, to the point where he had to have a website called Abe Vigoda is Still Alive. And every day he would just send a message to it, said, still here, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. December 5th, I'm still
Yeah,
alive.
still alive.
It's interesting because that could have happened as well in some news area, because news back then was very there was national news, but there was also very like local news, and it could have been something that accidentally got released by a local news story. But yours, okay, so let's talk for a moment before we go into some of the other Mandela effects. And I have one that I will fight you for too, because it's a
Yeah.
movie one. And I know
Yeah.
Beau might
This
actually
one I brought
unmute.
up to you, and you were like, "What? No." And I was
Yeah,
like, "Yeah,
so let's talk about yours first,
okay,
because
all right."
that's the hill you're gonna die on. What is
This
yours?
is my hashtag. Dolly head braces. So the great James Bond series had gone on for many movies, and we come to post Star Wars, and everybody had to be the new Star Wars. So even James Bond decided to be the new Star Wars, and they made a movie called Moonraker. And the movie is kind of crazy James Bond scenario. A guy's making the perfect society, so he's going to poison the world with these special orchids that only grow in some tropical rainforest somewhere, and he owns all these space shuttles. He's basically an Elon Musk type who owns all these space shuttles, and he's launching them into space, and he's bringing his perfect people up into the world. But to stop Bond from fighting him, he has a couple henchmen go after Bond. Bond takes him out. So he outsources to another henchman, and he gets the first time a henchman has reoccurred in a James Bond movie, and that is Jaws, played by the great Richard Kiel, who is this big hulking brute, and he is known for having these metallic teeth, which he tends to rip his villains' throats out with, or he even breaks through bars and just chomps through them. So like Odd Job's hat that can cut people's heads off, he can do it with his teeth. And Richard Kiel is a monster of man. We talk about Kolchak, the Night Stalker. He played half the monsters in that series. It was either him or the guy Ted Cassidy who played Lurch. Those are the two guys in Hollywood. If you needed a big guy, you called one of them. But Richard Kiel is actually one of the nicest guys in the world. And so when this movie came out and he had already been in The Spy Who Loved Me, they were like, why don't we give him a little bit of an arc and we'll have him fall in love? And it was really cute because at one point he does this big chase scene on a ski lift, and he does a fight scene with Roger Moore's James Bond, and they use a belt to zip line away on the ski lift that's trapped. And then Jaws is coming down in another ski lift to ram them, and then he smashes into a building, but he gets up. And that's always the cute thing about Jaws, is he's basically indestructible. So he's always like dusting himself off and everything. He comes out of these impossible, everybody else is dead around, all the other goons died in the car accident. He gets off. So after this ski lift disaster, he just gets off and dusts himself off. But as he's trapped under some rubble, this cute blonde girl comes over and helps him out of the rubble, and she's adorable, and she has little pigtails, little blonde pigtails, and some big cleavage. But she looks up at him and he looks down at her after he gets up, and we hear the Tristan and Isolde music from Tchaikovsky's suite, and he looks down at her, she looks up at him, and he smiles at her with his metallic teeth, and she smiles back, and they run off hand in hand. Now, when I remembered it, the whole joke is when she smiles back, she's got a mouthful of braces. And that's the joke. She's got the braces, he's got the metal teeth. Oh, it's so cute. There's a whole other story arc with them later when they have to save the day. When Bond's captured, he's up on the space station and he's about to lose everything. He's able to get Jaws to turn on his master, because his master is talking about he's basically building the master race. And then he's like, so anyone with genetic flaws or doesn't fit your conformity is going to be put to death. And he points over to Dolly and he points over to Jaws, and they're, he's a big freak and she's kind of the nerdy girl with braces and glasses. So Jaws realizes, hey, this ain't going to be all nice up here. So he turns on him. It's a big, huge Darth Vader changing allegiances in Return of the Jedi moment. It's awesome. Without her braces, it doesn't make sense. She's gorgeous and has a great, perfect smile and all that. Or, yeah, she's wearing glasses. Maybe that's the reason that she's not genetically perfect.
So you remember that she has braces, though?
Yes. I ran the Mustang drive-in projection in Pinellas Park, Florida for a number of years, and it was right before the drive-ins were closing, and we were basically just getting any movie we could get, and I was given carte blanche to just order any movies. And I saw a couple James Bonds. I'm like, oh, we'll do Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker as our double feature for the next few weeks. So we rented them, and I would run them over and over, and I watched it every night. James Bond fandom. When that scene came on, I'm like, hey, the nerdy girl and the big goofy guy hook up. This is my scene. So I would watch that constantly, and I remembered that. And now when you look it up or you watch it on television, it's not there. She doesn't have braces. She has perfect teeth. And I thought, oh my God, when I first saw that, I was like, what? Somebody digitally remastered this and took away her braces. What the hell is this? Is like them taking away the guns from the FBI agents in ET. What the hell is this crap? So I immediately Googled what version, what madness had happened. And that's when I discovered the Mandela Effect. So I will die on that hill. Dolly had braces.
I love you for that. That's a big one. I can't feedback. But then you mentioned one in the car that got that same reaction from me, because I was like, Nope, nope, that's not how I remembered it. And the one you mentioned was
Tom Cruise, Risky Business. Now, everybody remembers the iconic fun dance, like the moment his parents are gone. And it's probably one of the most recognizable scenes in movie history where he's dancing in his underwear and a dress shirt, pantsless, socks on, and he slides across the floor. And it's been copied by countless celebrities, right? It's in every parody thing. It's even a Halloween costume called Risky Dance. And the big thing it comes with is the shirt, the socks, and sunglasses. Ray-Ban sunglasses or knockoff
yep.
Ray-Ban sunglasses. In fact, that movie, because it did that, Ray-Ban was about to go out of business completely. But because he wore those glasses in that movie, it drove sales through the roof and it saved the company. That's well known. But if you remember that scene with him with the glasses doing the dance, you remembered it wrong.
Yeah, so I know Beau's about to unmute because it turns out apparently he didn't have glasses in that scene.
I don't believe you because I remember this. That movie is burned into my brain, and I swear he had glasses.
Yep,
Does have the glasses at the end of the movie, wears them through a lot of the movie, but not in that scene.
Yep.
Unless it's just a Mandela effect.
So in the
Oh my God, I just looked it up and a gift came up and he does not have glasses.
Right?
I'm upset.
I'm just gonna say this is one of those in my universe where I grew up, he absolutely had those glasses. So that happened.
Now, I will say some of these I think are just simply people misremembering, or because they get done iconically as parodies and stuff like that. The parodies sometimes get better remembered than the others. One of the most famous is Silence of the Lambs. Hello,
Yeah.
Clarice. Guess what? He never says that. She walks around that hall to see him, and she's walked past all the other crazy inmates, and he's just standing there. What does he say? Good morning.
I know. I remember Hello, Clarice. It's got me too, Beau. Here's another one that has thrown me because for years this has been in my brain. Do you remember Casablanca?
Oh, yeah.
Play it again, Sam.
No one says it.
He never says that.
No one says it in the movie.
Hell, even Woody Allen made a movie called Play It Again, Sam, and it was never said in that movie.
Nope. He says, you played it for her, you can play it for me. So play
Yep.
it. That's
okay.
And then, of course, one of the famous, now this is a minor one, but it is still big for a lot of people, which was the Luke, I am your father. Darth Vader did not say that. All right, this is a spoiler for probably one of the most famous spoilers in movie history, but he just says, no, I am your father. Now that's a minor quibble. I can see that one. That's also like the other famous one was the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The evil queen. She walks down the stairs and goes to her mirror on the wall. Nope.
Yeah.
She says magic mirror on the wall. So it's a minor thing. I think, honestly, gang, people are stupid and we do remember things wrong sometimes.
I think there are definitely some memory. And I think, like, for instance, I love the movie Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore. It's one of my favorite movies. We will link that in the show notes too. But in that, her brother dresses up like they do famous couples through history, and her brother dresses up like Risky Business, and he has the glasses on. Like every representation you see of this has that. So I think it's easy to predispose that visual because we've seen it, right?
Yep.
Over and over again. And, Tom Cruise does have the glasses on the movie cover. So I think this is one of the reasons they say eyewitness accounts of situations are terrible. Like anybody who actually, law enforcement and stuff like that, private eyes, forensic people will literally say eyewitness testimony is terrible because It's how that person remembers it, not necessarily what was happening. And it's very easy to guide somebody's memory of a situation by either their defiance that they're not incorrect. And I think Beau's other half brought that up, like people don't want to be wrong, so that doesn't happen. But it also gets guided by what other people say about it.
Yeah.
And I just found one earlier today that threw me off completely. And I went upstairs and I asked John, I'm like, what does this say? And it was this. What do you think on Oreo? Are they double stuff with 2 F's or 1 F?
Oh, that's a good question. One.
It's 1 F. But
Yeah.
who the hell says stuff with 1 fucking F? Nobody does that. It's, to me, it's been double stuff. I literally just found a package because we eat the gluten-free Oreos, which are some of my favorites. And I found the package and I'm like, it's stuff with 2 F's. Who the hell would spell stuff, right? And I was like, nope, it's stuff with 1 F. It has never been 2 F's. It's
Yep.
kind of like Kit Kat. Does Kit Kat have a hyphen in it or not?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, like you just go, are you kidding? Because
Yep,
it
and
doesn't have a hyphen in it.
Beau's one that Beau mentioned in the chat earlier was the Fruit of the Loom cornucopia. Is there a cornucopia on Fruit of the Loom? Now this one got some press. One of the other reasons why we're revisiting this is because they said no, we've never had the cornucopia on Fruit of the Loom. They literally listed their logo for every year and posted all their trademarks, and it doesn't have the cornucopia. But then people were finding images of it on old shirts and old pants and old underwear with the cornucopia. So that one, I think, was just the company gaslighting us. Come on, they didn't want to admit they forgot to trademark the cornucopia. So that's,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that's what happens in some of this. So that's the start of this. But I want to talk again about the glitches and the things like that, where things are really, really crazy. Man, we've got a lot to talk about after the
We
break.
do. I have 2 more that I have to do though, because
Okay. Oh yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. We got time.
C3PO.
Okay. Oh, the
What
silver
color
leg.
is C3PO?
He's gold, but the silver leg. But because the action figure came out and it was all gold, everybody just assumes he was all gold through everything. And also those early VHS copies that we all grew up on when we finally got it on VHS, it was so grainy and washed out. But especially by the time we've all watched it our 167th time, like I did, he does look all silver by then because it's just the colors washed out. But the real point of that was Kenner was too cheap when they painted the figure to paint a silver leg on him. And it wasn't until much later, I think it was even the Empire Strikes Back figures, when he finally got the silver leg. But even then, while they were making the movie, they'd forget which leg was silver. So sometimes it would be on the wrong leg, particularly in the comics. Because even the Marvel comics at the time did do it right, but they had the wrong, sometimes it'd be the right leg and sometimes it'd be the left leg. So,
Yeah.
and even Anthony Daniels talked about that people forgot which leg was which sometimes, and he'd have to remind them.
Yep. Another one we talked about, Ed McMahon and Publishers
Oh,
Clearinghouse.
Publishers Clearinghouse.
It
Yes, he'd
was,
show up at your house with $1 million check. Oh, wait, he never did that.
no, it was American Family Publishers is who he was the spokesperson
And
for.
that was long after Publishers Clearinghouse had stopped.
Yeah. Another one, did you know that what castle is at Walt Disney World?
Oh, I don't know.
It's Cinderella's castle. Which one is at Walt Disneyland?
That's Sleeping Beauty's castle, right?
It is. It's
Okay.
not Cinderella's. A lot of people think it's the same castle. Is it both of them? And it's not. Another one for our pop fans out there. Ready?
Yeah.
Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again. Right?
Right.
In the video, she was wearing a headset, right? Because the doll came out with a headset. She was wearing a headset. She wasn't wearing a headset.
No.
Not
that
once
was
in
from the
entire-
live performance, I think, later.
Yeah. Well, no, and she was known for wearing headsets.
Yeah.
And then they put the doll out with the headset on it, but she never wore the headset in the video.
Yeah, I remember, was it Whiteout is another one? Yeah, is it Whiteout, White, or just Wite? And of course, it's Wite. There is no H in it. There's a lot of, the monocle from the
Oh, yeah,
Monopoly
that's
guy.
true.
It-
Shout out for James Michael Roddy. What does he say about the size of the boat?
Oh, yeah. We're
People
going to
think
need a
he
bigger
says-
boat. He doesn't say that.
Nope, he says you're gonna need a bigger boat. And then another fun one, which is this. This one always messes me up. What color is chartreuse?
Oh, yeah, that's the one. Is it pink or green, right?
It's green.
Yeah. Now, the
That's-
ones, some recent ones that we got emailed about, one was people remember for Disney DVD, Tinkerbell flying in front and dotting the I. She doesn't draw out the word Disney and dotting the I in them. So that some people remembered that. I had a few of those. I had a few people email me about the laughing cow. Does she have a nose ring? She does not have a nose ring. And Alaskan Airlines instead of Alaska Airlines, it's Alaska Airlines. There was no Alaskan Airlines. The other one I got a few emails about was Henry VIII having a turkey leg in his famous painting, and always that's what he's known for, right? Eating a turkey leg. He's got one in his big famous painting. No, he's holding his gloves. So I don't know where that one comes from. But the one I got from Breaking Bad, this is one Callie got me on, was Jesse Pinkman saying, "Yeah, science, bitch." He never says that. He says a lot of, "Yeah, science." And he does say bitch a lot, but he never says that together.
How about Lucy? You have some splaining to do from I
Oh.
Love Lucy.
Is that one?
He never said that.
Oh,
Not once. He said, "Splain that if you can, Lucy,
Lucy.
splain."
Yeah.
But he never said, "Lucy, you have some splaining to do."
Oh, wow. Not even in the radio show. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And then,
I know Jiffy and Jiff is a big one. Was it Jiffy? No. And then, of course, the classic, the Shazam movie starring Sinbad, never happened.
yeah.
And what the other new one was Pikachu's tail having a black stripe. Nope, never happened. And of course, the one everybody asked me about was Curious George's tail. No, he doesn't have one. Never did. So if you remember that, remember it wrong.
How
And-
about Sally Field at the Oscar for placing So That the Heart? You like me. You really like me.
No, she said, yeah, completely different.
I can't deny the fact that you like me right now. You like me. That's what she said.
And there's a lot like that, and some of these are just crazy, right? This is the internet is a strange place, and we're finding out some of these things that we were just became pop culture, and now we can talk about it and go, okay, wait, this is wrong. We're remembering it wrong. We're remembering it wrong. But then occasionally we find things like the opposite, like the Fruit of the Loom. So, we're remembering it right. I'm trying to find an original print, theatrical print of Moonraker to see if somehow it was, penciled in on the print, because I do think that happened. The Star Wars early prints that went out, the lightsaber effects, they painted them on the individual frames. It was crazy. And I think that may have been what I saw in Moonraker. I don't know. We'll see, but I will die on that hill.
You can die on that hill. And with that, we're going to take a break and we will be right back with more Glitches in the Matrix.
Prepare to be devoured. The Wolves of Wharton is a 6-part complete book series by Eerie Travel's producer, Beau Lake. It has been called dark and visceral, steamy, dramatic, and a fresh take on the werewolf mythos. If you like action, adventure, a large serving of body horror, and some steamy relations, the Wolves of Wharton series is for you. Pick it up wherever books are sold, or at linktree.com/Beau__Lake.
Greetings, travelers. Now available on Audible and other audiobook platforms, Eerie, Appalachia. Join us, won't you, as we discuss creatures like the Popelick Monster, the White Fangs, the Snallygaster, the Wampus Cat, the Lizard Man of Skateboard Swamp, Bunny Man Bridge, and the Ohio Grassman. All these creatures and more await you if you dare listen to Eerie, Appalachia, presented by Mark Muncy, History Press, and Four Horsemen Publishing.
We're back.
We are, and we've got some fun stuff that people have sent to us. These are more just very, very kind of, some of them are funny that people have sent us. Some of them were really way, okay, what happened, right? Because either they went into an alternate reality or something came out of an alternate reality to talk to them or something like that. And a lot of them are just fun. People send us fun pictures that, circulating on TikTok and stuff like that. One guy walked in. It was one of my favorite pictures. One of our listeners sent us. It was last Christmas. A guy was like, I walked into the wrong bar, and he walked into a place in London, and it was all these Santa Clauses having breakfast at this one bar, and there were some other guys just in red shirts with big white beards, and even guys wearing baseball caps and stuff like that. And he happened to be a Santa, so he selfies with all these people behind him. I think that actually went a little viral. And that was great because it was just so funny. He sent us that, and it was basically, there was a Santa training thing at a hotel, and this guy just happened to be into that little breakfast bar where they were all at, and he walked in and got the shot. And it does look like totally all these Santas just in various poses around the bar. It's amazing. I will try to make sure we get that in the notes, Beau, so we can post that. But that was just, so that was fun, right? But that one's obvious. But for every one of those, we got some real ones that, holy cow, that is very weird. We had one that literally was a glitch in the Matrix. Remember the follow the white rabbit, right, line from that?
Yeah.
We had a story, and we didn't do it as a listener to because they asked me not to. So I'm going to have to paraphrase this. I can't just read it. I really just want to read this, but I'm going to basically just have to tell it. And it was basically follow the red gecko is the best way I can describe it. She put on her favorite shirt that morning, this tale we got. And it's a blue shirt with a red gecko on its back. And it's something she had gotten on her spring break decades before, and it just reminds her of that. Smells like the beach still, even though she's watched it 100 times. You know how that is, intention, right? We remember, it brings these core memories back. And as she's walking along, she sees a lady with that exact gecko tattooed on her shoulder in front of her. And she's in the middle of this town in Daytona, or not in Daytona, I'm sorry, but she's suddenly brought into Daytona. She feels herself like she's in Daytona with this woman, and she follows her into a bar, and she's like, I gotta talk to this lady. There's something about this. And she's even smelling the beach. She lives nowhere near the beach. She does live in Florida, so sometimes it can carry, but this lady lives very inland. And she follows her in there, and she's, what is going on? She goes into the bar, and she goes up to the lady and says, I love your tattoo. That's what she winds up doing. And she's like, and the lady is like, breaks down in tears. Is like, oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you for telling me that. I haven't been comfortable enough to show it for a long time. My husband passed away recently. And I've been cooped up. I haven't left the house, but it was such a beautiful sunny day. I wanted to go out and I wanted to go to the bar, get a drink, and then I'm going to drive over to the beach and have a drink. And she's like, "Oh, that's a long drive for the beach. Dude, you want some company?" And she's like, "Oh no, it's just around the corner." And she's like, "Huh?" She's like, "It's like 2 hours to the beach." And she's like, "Well, no, thank you. Thank you so much. You made my day. And let me get you a drink." And she's like, "No, no, no, I have to be off to work. And please, here's my phone number if you ever, want to get in touch." And she walks out of the bar.
Wow.
And when she gets out of the bar, she realizes she's in a completely different parking lot. She turns around. There's no bar. There's no nothing. She's like, "What has happened?" And she
Whoa.
looks down and her phone is all normal, everything. She goes off to work. No problem. 6 months pass. She gets a text from an unknown number and it
What?
says, "Thank you for helping me that day. I really needed that. I was going to go kill myself
Oh my gosh.
after I took that drink, but you changed my day." And she texted back, "Where are you? I lost track of you and I lost track of that day." No response ever since.
Okay, that just visible goosebumps. That it completely creeps me the hell out.
Yep.
Glitches,
And
I'm
that's
telling
as
you.
best I can tell that story without giving away some stuff about this person who asked me. She said we could tell it, but I had to rewrite it. So that's the best I could do it.
Wow. That's fucking crazy. That's what that is. That's so nutso. But these
Right?
things happen. People have stories like this all the time.
Yeah. How many listener tales have we gotten with strange things like this where people have literally encountered their twin or gone to a city that they've known from their childhood and everything's exactly like it was when they were a kid, but then when they go back later to bring their significant other, it's a modern town and completely different, and
Yeah.
the building that they grew up in is bulldozed and stuff like that.
Oh, I've had that. No, it's definitely weird. What
Yep,
else do you got?
I got one more that was pretty crazy, and this is one, again, they want to stay anonymous. It wasn't again, not a true listener tale, but it is. This person is a twin,
Okay.
and they think they're in an orphan black type situation.
So
Because
you should explain what Orphan Black is for anybody
I'm
who
gonna
doesn't
do
know.
that. That was I was gonna say. For those who don't know, basically, Orphan Black is a science fiction show with an amazing actress whose name I can't remember. So somebody's got to IMDb this while I'm telling this. She was found out she's a clone, and there are many distinct clones of her, and some of them are trained as secret agents, some of them are trained in other things, and they basically are living their lives, and they keep bumping into each other and stuff like that, and they keep coming out of the woodwork because we think there's only six, and then there's more, and the show went on for a while. It was very well done. It's been a few years since I've seen it, so that's my problem.
The actress is Tatiana Maslany, and
okay.
she also plays She-Hulk.
Yes, yes, that's I was about to say she's She-Hulk now. That was where I was gonna go. So she was incredible in that. So very, very cool. Anyway, these twins, ready?
Yes.
They live down in Key West. So this is during my Eerie, Florida author days. And down in Key West, they have an event. Since 1981, they've had this great event. It's the Ernest Hemingway Lookalike Contest, right?
Okay.
It's another one like that Santa where it looks like a glitch in the Matrix if you ever go down there, because these guys wear white and red scarves or their medallions, usually his Pulitzer Prize and his red beret hat that he always wore, and a lot of them ride bulls. It's very bizarre, like fake bulls. It's funny. It's like the running of the Ernest Hemingways through Key West, because Key West is a crazy town. I love Key West. That's where our good boy Robert hangs out. So Key West is amazing. So anyway, these guys were down for that event, and they are twins, and they thought they had a shot at it because, hey, we're twins. We kind of look like the guy. We're going to stand out anyway. But suddenly they're in a sea of lookalikes and they realized they had underestimated the competition because it was their first time going to this event. So they realized, all right, this isn't going to be great. Now, their names, I can say their first names already, is Bob and Richard. Okay, so Robert and Richard. That's
Okay.
when creative naming, right? So it's not going to say their last names, but anyway, they go down there and they're doing this thing. And while they're at the event, they decide, okay, we're going to go over to Sloppy Joe's, the original Sloppy Joe's, which is now Captain Tony's saloon, and go to where Ernest Hemingway really drank. And they want to beat the rush. So, because they realize they're not going to have any chance in this competition. So they go in there, and in there are two guys that look exactly like them that are not participating in the Hemingway thing and are wearing blue shirts and blue jeans with a red, like, suspenders type looking thing. And it was basically like photo negative of them, but blue and red instead of the white and red. And they went over and started talking to him. And they realized they have almost the exact same history. They're all from the same town. They're all from the same year. They're all the same age. They have the same birthday. They have the same basic history, different set of parents, but they're adopted.
No.
So were they quadruplets? And their names, ready for this, are Rick and Rob. They are
Okay.
Richard and Robert as well.
How weird is that? So keep
Okay.
going. I feel like we're not near the end, but I'm
Not
freaking
done
out.
yet, because when they get home, they reach out to their parents and tell them about this amazing thing. And their parents tell them the truth after 60 years. Their parents were 90 and 95. Their parents were very old, and their parents were 90 and 95, and they say, "Oh yeah, we adopted you."
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? Do you hear the tone I'm saying this in? What?
Yeah. So not paranormal, just they have not done ancestry.com or DNA at the time when they wrote me this. This was a decade ago when they wrote me this, or 2 decades ago. Geez. So I need to reach back out to these guys and see if they ever did testing to find out if they were related. But that was the big reveal at the time of that email that they sent us.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's very interesting when you encounter, and you hear the stories of people, and if listeners, you want to go down a complete rabbit hole on this, no pun intended, but on Reddit, there is it's called Glitch in the Matrix, and you can read stories from people that have had situations happen, and you kind of go, well, why didn't they freak out? Why didn't they go to the police station? Why didn't they do these things? And you got to go, who the hell would believe them if somebody came up to you and said this? Like, you wouldn't know. The answer is no.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe that, right?
Yeah. When you start talking about a place you grew up in and all this, and then suddenly, oh my God, it's the same town. It's the same this. They have some of the same memories, and they literally lived 30 minutes apart from each other. And we're both down to Key West for just random occurrences. They didn't even know about the Hemingway lookalike event. They just happened to pick that weekend to go down to Key West for a road trip.
And you kind of go, why did that happen? Like, why was that a thing that went on? I've heard so many weird stories where people, like walk out of their house and then something happens and they're like, nope, they go back in, come back out again. It's completely different. Like it's almost like there is a reset of, I don't know, an alternate universe. Like, how does that work?
And that's where we get into the Hadron Collider theory that they turned on and it made a black hole. And things went awry, right? There's a lot of weird things. I got somebody who seems to recall that there was a here I'll just read this one.
Okay.
This is one I did get that I can kind of say a little bit of. So basically, Wayback Machine 1954. A man flew into Tokyo, but upon landing at Tokyo International Airport, his trip had taken kind of a weird turn. He
Okay.
handed over his passport to be stamped, and he was immediately dragged off for interrogation about his whereabouts and his origin. And the reason was, although it wasn't racial profiling or anything like that, his passport was from a country no one had ever heard of called Taured. Taured. And the man said, oh, it's this small country just between France and Spain. And when he pointed to it on the map, it was the Principality of Andorra. And he didn't know what Andorra was. He's like, no, Taured. It's been there 1,000 years. And I was in Japan on business for the last 5 years, and his passport backed up his story from previous stamps and customs. And he had legal currency from several European countries on him. And he even had a driver's license from this mysterious country of Taured. He had a checkbook containing checks from that and this unknown bank called the Bank of Taured. And so they had crazy questions about him. Customs didn't know what to do with him and everything. So they sent him to a nearby hotel so they could figure out what the heck to do with him. They didn't want to put him in jail, right? Or anything. So there's 2 immigration officers, though, had to stay outside his room, right? He's not allowed to leave his room because he technically is not allowed in this country. But when they went in the morning, when he didn't answer the door, he was gone. No man in the room, no bags, no nothing. And the only way out was a 15-story drop to a street.
Wow.
So Tokyo police conduct a search, nothing. So that is an actual missing persons case from Tokyo.
Wow. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. Like, and there are so many of these kind of situations. And like, what is interesting to me is if you look at some of these photos, now, of course, we have all this technology, Photoshop, all these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are photos that not doctored photos from like the 1920s that show people walking with cell phones and being
Right.
dressed in inappropriate clothing from that time period, and you just go, did they glitch? Did they switch? Because again, what's also interesting is I haven't heard a lot of stories, and I'm not saying they're not out there. So travelers, if you know of them, share them with us, but where it's for a really long time.
Right.
Usually it's like a day or an hour or, an afternoon or something. I don't, hear about these things going on for like, I was gone for 3 weeks,
Yeah, or 6 months. One lady famously, oh gosh, this was 2008. The last name's Garcia. I think she woke up in her bed and little things were off. Like she didn't remember wearing the pajamas she was wearing, and some other little things were crazy. And she went to work, but when she arrived at work, they'd moved her office to another floor. And she's like, what? Wait, this is where I've always worked. And they're like, no, that was 6 months ago. We moved your office. But her desk, everything is normal. It's just different floor. When she gets back home, the guy that living in her apartment's like freaking out because we broke up 6 months ago. What are you doing here? And she remembered being with another guy for the last 4 months, and he was nowhere to be found. So she even hired a private detective to try to find this guy, and no trace of him or his family that she had hung out with and done all these things with. Now, it could be neurological because I lose days, I lose weeks. That's part of the thing. She swears that this was something else. She's normal, and there's been no tests that have been able to prove anything like that. So,
wow, it's just a lot. It's a lot to take on,
There's one last one. It was 1972. This one goes way back in the Wayback Machine. Southern Utah University. 4 girls were driving back. They'd been at a rodeo in another town, and they were crossing that Utah-Nevada state line, which is nothing, right?
Yeah.
And they came back on a fork in the highway, and they veered left, and they started driving through, was it Ganonton Canyon? And the black pavement suddenly turns white. And they're like, oh, we've taken a wrong turn. We must be on a government road. So let's turn back around. You know, we don't want to get in Area 51 and get in trouble. But this is long before that, right? The 70s. They suddenly realize they're driving past grain fields and ponderosa pines, and the desert is gone. Where the hell are we?
Wow.
They stop at a tavern, and they're going to ask for directions. And then one of the girls just starts screaming hysterically. And they're like, oh, what? And she's just, get out. We have to get out of here right now. So they get back in their car, and the description that they gave the police said 4 egg-shaped vehicles mounted on tricycle wheels with bright lights shining on the top began chasing them. They speed back through the canyon, and the white cement changes back to the black asphalt, leading them back into the desert. Suddenly there's a sharp turn, and they wreck in a creek, leaving them with 3 flat tires. And they just sat in their car till morning before hiking to Highway 56, where they flagged down a state trooper and told him this story. And his notes are hysterical. It's obviously, it's like, what the hell are they drinking? What are they on? You know, these crazy hippies, you know, that sort of thing. But what happens is the tire tracks they leave, that's when they investigate, are weird. The tire tracks by the girls go 20 meters into the desert and then stop. Suddenly they're 3 miles away north of the highway with no physical evidence of their travels. And it's missing one of the tires is missing a hubcap that is never accounted for. So is it either lost in the desert, or maybe some parallel Earth has it is being researched by their version of the Montauk Project or something. So
I don't like that. You know, it's something that definitely, you know, the idea of it, because there are things, and we've talked about this because of, you know, some people we've met and things. I don't think we should ever say all of this is real, right?
no,
But
we don't know what this is.
That's true. You have perfectly sane people that are not suffering from a physical illness or a mental illness that have things happen. And I think very much like encountering a lot of the things we talk about encountering, they don't want to talk about it because people will think they're crazy.
Right. And that's my emails. I know this sounds crazy, but
yeah. So travelers, we got to wrap up this episode. Hopefully you get to share with us. We've done some more as requested. Please feel free to share with us both your Mandela effects and your glitches in the matrix. We love hearing them. You can go to eerietravels.com. There's a contact us form that goes directly to all of us so that we can read it, mainly to Mark, who then shares stuff with us. It's like pulling teeth, but it's fine. We get there eventually. And, you know, we hope you have very safe travels and don't get stuck in an alternate reality. Unless it's a cool alternate reality, which is better than the reality you're living in.
If it's one where the Beatles never broke up, or one where Middleman got 3 seasons, or where you know, Bruce Campbell's Ash vs. Evil Dead went into season 9 and then a movie, you know, we're good. Stay in that one. It doesn't matter if everything else is terrible and you have to eat blue food. It's fine.
Okay.
Take the win.
No, we're not recommending that. But Mark, why don't you take us out of here?
All right, gang. Thanks again so much for listening. As always, thanks to our Patreon members who you know, keep this show on the road, and thanks to our sponsors. As always, we are very thrilled to have them. We've met so many of y'all. We'd love to meet all of you. So please check out eerietravels.com, find out where we're going to be, and come join us. We'd love to see you. Now, all that said, please share the love. We'd love to have more members get on. So, you know, join us in the Discord, share this with your friends and family. Tell them, hey, do you remember if Dolly had braces? You should talk to these people because I think she did. But with that said, gang, keep on traveling. Watch out on those dark roads at night for a strange turn that you don't remember. And if you see a lady with the red gecko at the bar, tell her you'll see her on the other side.